Cryptography. Now we'll see the basic terminologies in cryptography. Plain text. The original message which we want to convert into a ciphertext is called as your plain text. Ciphertext is nothing but the encoded message. Cipher. Cipher is nothing but the algorithm used for transforming the plain text to ciphertext. Key. Key is nothing but the information used in cipher known only to the sender and receiver. Then encipher or encrypt. It is nothing but converting the plain text to ciphertext. Decrypt. Recovering the ciphertext from plain text is called as decrypt. Decrypt or you can say decryption. Cryptography. It is nothing but the study of encryption principles or methods. Then cryptanalysis. So cryptanalysis is nothing but the study of principles or methods of deciphering the ciphertext without knowing the key is called as cryptanalysis. Then cryptology. The field of both cryptography and cryptanalysis is called as cryptology. Classical encryption techniques. Here we are going to look at the symmetric cipher model, substitution techniques and transposition techniques. Symmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption is also known as your conventional or private key or a single key encryption technique, where the sender and the receiver will be sharing a common key. All the classical encryption algorithms are private key based. It was the technique which was used prior to the invention of the public key in 1970s. Symmetric cipher, it used substitution and transposition technique. What do you mean by substitution? Substitution, it maps plain text, that is elements. It can be characters or bits into ciphertext elements. Transposition means it will transpose the positions of the plain text elements. So this is the diagrammatic representation for a symmetric encryption, where we will be using the same key for the encryption and the decryption process. The requirements for symmetric encryption: a strong encryption algorithm, a secret key known only to sender or receiver. If for example, if you want to encrypt the message called X, the ciphertext Y is nothing but encryption of the plain text X with a key called K. In order to get back the original plain text called X, we have to decrypt the ciphertext Y with the key called K. Assume the encryption algorithm is known. We can characterize cryptographic systems based on three dimensions. One is based on the type of operations used in transforming the plain text to the ciphertext, and the next one is based on the number of keys used, and the next one is way in which the plain text is processed. So based on the type of operation, either we can do a substitution, transposition or product cipher, and based on the number of keys, either you can go for a single or private key or two key or public key. And the way in which the plain text is processed, it could be either in block cipher or stream cipher mode. Encryption techniques. In substitution, we are going to see techniques like Caesar cipher, monoalphabetic cipher and polyalphabetic cipher. In polyalphabetic cipher, we will be looking at Vigenère cipher, auto key cipher and one-time pad. And then we have transposition. So in transposition, we will be looking at rail fence cipher and row of column transposition cipher. Classical substitution ciphers, where letters of the plain text are replaced by other letters or by numbers or symbols. Or if the plain text is viewed as a sequence of bits, then substitution involves replacing the plain text bit patterns with ciphertext bit patterns. Caesar cipher. It is known as the earliest substitution cipher. It was invented by Julius Caesar. It was basically used in military purposes. The idea is to replace one basic unit with another. So here in the given example, every alphabet is replaced by every third letter. So for example, if you take A is replaced by D, and E is replaced by H. So likewise, every third letter is replaced for the corresponding plain text. Caesar cipher. The mathematical description using modulo arithmetic is given by the expression C is nothing but encryption of the plain text, which is nothing but P plus K mod 26. In order to get the plain text called P, which is nothing but decryption of the ciphertext, which is equal to ciphertext minus key Mod 26. Cryptanalysis of Caesar cipher. Since we are having only 26 possible cipher, it is easy to find out the given plain text from the given ciphertext by just trying out all the shifts of letters. So this is called as your brute force search. Monoalphabetic cipher. Rather than just shifting the alphabet, letter to letter mapping is done arbitrarily. Each plain text letter maps to a different random ciphertext letter. Hence, the key is 26 letters long. For example, for a given plain text A to Z, we are just arbitrarily mapping any text for the given plain text. So this is called as your monoalphabetic cipher. Monoalphabetic cipher security. Now we are having a total of 26 factorial keys. With so many things, we might think this is secure, but the problem is with the language characteristics. Language redundancy and cryptanalysis. Human languages are redundant. Letters are not equally commonly used. In English, E is by far the most common letter. Then we are using T, R, N, I, O, A, S. Alphabets are used. The rarely used letters are Z, J, K, Q and X. We have tables of single, double and triple letter frequency in the next slide. This is the English letter frequency diagram where we are having, when we look at the slides, we have the alphabet from A to Z in the x-axis, and in the y-axis we have the relative frequency. So if you look at the diagram, E is by far most the maximum used letter, which is having a 12.70%. And coming to the least used alphabet, we are having Q and X. Polyalphabetic ciphers. Another approach to improving security is to use multiple cipher alphabets called polyalphabetic substitution ciphers. It makes script analysis harder with more alphabets to guess and flatter frequency distribution. We use the key to select which alphabet is used for each letter of the message. Use each alphabet in turn. Repeat from start after end of the key is reached. The first cipher that we are going to see is called as the Wigner cipher. It is the simplest polyalphabetic substitution cipher. It is effectively multiple Caesar ciphers. The key is multiple letters long, where K, which is nothing but the key, is equal to K1, K2 up to KD. Ith letter specifies the ith alphabet to use, and use each alphabet in turn. Repeat from start after D letters in the message. So decryption simply works in the reverse. So in the next slide, we will see the example. This is a Wigner table which can be used for doing encryption and decryption. This is the example of a Wigner cipher. We have to write the plain text and you have to write the keyword repeated. So for example, the given plain text is "we are discovered, save yourself," and the given keyword key is nothing but deceptive. Since the length of the message is longer than the key, we have to repeat the key as deceptive till the length of the message. And now we have to take the plain text called W here with the key called D. So W into D, the ciphertext is CZ. So that is how the entire mapping is done. This is called as the auto key cipher. We ideally want the key as long as the message. So Wigner proposed the auto key cipher with the keyword is prefixed to message as the key. For example, we are having the plain text "we are discovered, save yourself." The key is deceptive, but what we have to do is we have to write the plain text after the keyword called deceptive. So the length of the plain text and the length of the key should be of equal size, and then we will do the individual bit by bit encryption. So D and W will be encrypted to the ciphertext called EZ. One-time pad. If a truly random key, as long as the message is used, the cipher will be secure. It is unbreakable since the ciphertext bears no statistical relationship to the plaintext. For any plaintext and any ciphertext, there exists a key mapping one to other. Can only use the key once though. Have problem of safe distribution of key. That is one of your drawbacks of your one-time pad. Transposition ciphers. Now consider classical transposition or permutation ciphers. So these hide the messages by rearranging the letter order without altering the actual letters used. Can recognize these since have the same frequency distribution as the original message. Railpen cipher. This is the one of your transposition techniques where we'll take the message and write it diagonally depending on the number of rows needed. For example, we are taking a ciphertext called "Meet me after the toga party," and the row size is, for example, we have taken it here as 2. So you will write the alphabet diagonally, and then we will read it row by row. So for example, "Meet me after the toga party," so you write M, then letter E down, then E at the top row, and then T at the bottom row. So likewise, until the length of the message you write it, and then the ciphertext will be, you read the first row and then the second row. Row transposition cipher. It is a more complex scheme. So we have to write the letters of the message out in rows over a specified number of columns, then reorder the columns according to some key before reading of the rows. For example, the given plain text is "attack postponed until 2 a.m. So that is the plain text, and the given key is 4312567. So we will be writing it as a matrix. So you have to write the plain text in the matrix, and then based on the key you will be reading the column wise data. So then the given ciphertext will be the result of the keys. Product ciphers. Ciphers using substitutions or transpositions are not secure because of their language characteristics. We have to consider several ciphers in succession to make harder, but two substitutions make a more complex substitution, and the two transpositions make more complex transposition. But a substitution followed by a transposition makes a new, much harder cipher. This is the bridge from classical to modern ciphers. Thank you.